From Kigali. Sarah, good evening to you. President Cyril Ramaphosa supports the African Trade Agreement. Nigeria isn't there, as we saw in your piece, but what is the general feeling from the other heads of state that are there?
Good evening, Bongani. Indeed, there is excitement in Kigali ahead of that landmark agreement that will be signed and come into effect soon after. And the reason there is that excitement is because Africa is about to create a free trade area that will have a market of 1.2 billion people. And they say, economic experts that we have spoken here are saying that that will spur growth on the continent by about 53.3%. And so when we spoke, or when we listened to President Ramaphosa speak during one of the business forums that was organized here, he said that this is like a boat that is going to now lift Africa from the waters, shallow waters that it has been into, and into a potential that will prove that Africans are historically traders. And so this will for them open opportunities, not just for small economies, but even for bigger economies.
But of course, there are concerns still about how, for example, weaker countries could possibly be used as conduits for dumping goods. Does this remain a sticking point, and how has it been dealt with?
Yes, indeed it does. And when you listen to the experts who are talking, apart from the heads of state, a lot of them saying that countries will need now to look into their laws to ensure that there is a balance of trade, that there is the removal of what is called the non-tariff barriers and even tariff barriers, so that countries now trade on a level playing field. And even the smaller traders, especially because along the borders of the continent, you find a lot of movement of women, of traders, informal traders, that those two benefit from this agreement.
Nigerian President Buhari, of course, not at the summit, cancelling his trip to Kigali at the last minute, calling for more consultations. Is he concerned that economies the size of his countries might have to carry the weaker countries?
Indeed, it may not be Buhari who has said that, but unions in Nigeria are concerned that a lot of consultations have not gone into this. And like you're saying, Nigeria is a big market, and so they wouldn't want to probably just open up the market at once. And that is why they're talking about a phased introduction and implementation of the agreement. South Africa, however, saying that they are ready to begin. President Ramaphosa and Minister Lindiwe Sisulu saying that the most important thing now is to at least take that first step, so that there can be the willingness or the show of might and the political commitment that indeed African countries are ready to trade together. But some people are saying, look, we have the regional economic commissions, we have the East African Community, we have SADC, we have ECOWAS. Those two are also not working perfectly. So then how will we ensure that 55 African countries can trade together without barriers?
But of course, whichever way you look at it, a single market for African countries would be an absolute game changer. I imagine for those who are behind it, there must be a lot of optimism and hope for a common future.
Indeed, and they're talking about this being the pathway to a faster integration, and some of them saying that this will now eventually lead to the customs union. President Ramaphosa even throwing in a challenge, saying, look, if indeed we can do this, why then don't we immediately start working towards an African monetary union? Remember, the idea of the Agenda 2063 and the whole issue of a united Africa is for the continent to have a single currency, to have a customs union, and to have what they're going to be launching tomorrow, a bigger market where there is free movement of people, free movement of goods and services, and for Africans to be able to just cross borders, which they, according to Ramaphosa, are just artificial borders which can be brought down with a stroke of the pen.
As closer to a United States of Africa as we ever going to get. Muammar Gaddafi must be smiling in his grave. That's our Sarah Kimani there from Kigali. Now, the world's